So let me tell you a little story. Earlier this year, I was using Binding of Isaac footage in like every video of mine, which history repeats itself, I guess. But there came a point where I said I was going to shake it up and start using different games in the background of all my videos. And then for the next like month and a half, I was just using Brotato in the back of my videos. Yeah, this is my game of the year. And the best thing about that joke is I'm actually dead serious. It's not a joke. Brotato is genuinely my game of the year. So I had never heard of Brotato until the 1.0 version came out in 2023. That's this year. Game of the year. This year. And apparently it had been in early access for a bit, but the day it came out, it popped up on my Steam homepage. And I was like, huh, that's a funny name for a game. I'll check it out. And then I saw the footage and I was like, oh, that looks like streamlined Binding of Isaac and it's $5. I'll give it a shot. Not a huge commitment. I get to support indie devs. And then if I like it, great. I have another game to play. So that was roughly 54 hours ago. And I'm dead serious when I say that this is possibly the best roguelite I've ever played, and unless something else comes out by the time the year ends and just blows my pants off and puts them back on and blows them off a second time, Brotato is genuinely my game of the year, and you should buy it and play it right now. And like, I'm fully aware of the fact that 2023 was a fantastic year for new games, and I'll admit that my backlog runneth over a little bit. I haven't played every banger 2023 game, I just don't have that kind of time. Nobody does. But of all the games to come out in 2023, Brotato is the one that I can't stop coming back to. Like, it'll be my comfort game for a week, I'll stop playing it for a week or two, and then I'll come back to it and it'll be my comfort game for another week or two. And yeah, sure, that might be because it's basically just designed to press all of your addiction buttons over and over again, but it's also one of the most genuinely unique games I've ever played, and the ways that it's addicting are so worth praising. I once described Brotato as just min-max the game, and I also said it's basically the video game equivalent of doing a math problem, but then having to complete a Binding of Isaac dungeon to see if your answer was right. And like, yeah, that's pretty much still how I feel about it. But I'm gonna do my best to explain why this game is so good, because it's one of those games that's extremely easy to understand, but there's like 5 dozen layers to it that you don't fully comprehend until you've sunk a few hours into it. And then there's like another 50 dozen layers that you have to wade through. So I'm gonna do my best here. It's a deceptively deep game. I know it looks like a Flash game from like 2012, but I'm being serious. This is genuinely one of the most deceptively deep games I've ever played. So, Brotato is a top-down shooter roguelite where you play as one of many potatoes, and each of the potatoes has a handful of starting modifiers that you don't really understand until you play a few rounds. You're dropped into a featureless map with infinitely respawning enemies and a timer, and the goal is simply to stay alive until the timer ends. You don't have to kill all the enemies, you don't have to complete any objectives, you just have to not die for 45 seconds. And once the round ends, you use the XP to purchase character upgrades, and in between rounds, you use the currency that the enemies drop to buy randomly selected weapons and or items. And all the while, you're staring at this gigantic stat board full of words that you think you understand, but in context definitely do not understand. You know, stuff like luck. The hell does luck mean? You have damage, but then also melee damage, range damage, and elemental damage. What the fuck does all that mean? And that's just the primary stat page. You flip over to the secondary stat page, and you have stats like trees. What the fuck is trees? Bounces? Piercing and piercing damage? Materials in crates, free rerolls, percent enemies? What is percent enemies? I'm scared. I don't understand. And here's the funny part. Here's the best part. I'm like 50 something hours into the game at this point. It's again, my favorite game of the year. This is my game of the year. I still don't fucking know what luck means. I don't know what luck means. I genuinely have no clue what luck means in the context of this game. But that's where the different characters come in, because despite this being an almost painfully simple game, there's an almost infinite number of builds you can make out of these starting point characters by speccing into certain categories. But more on the characters in a little bit. And that's where the min-max of this game comes in, because while the upgrades that you get from leveling up have no downsides, most of the items you buy in between rounds will come with some kind of penalty, so you can choose to let certain traits go into the red while mega buffing others, and you can use your level up freebies to offset the penalties of certain item purchases, Or you can just say fuck it and avoid certain categories altogether and try to go super hard into other categories, and can you see why this game is so addicting now? Like I said, the point of the game is not to kill everything, but rather just to survive. The point of the game is to not lose. And once you survive 20 waves, you have officially won the game. Once you finish wave 20, you can either tap out and take the W, or try to play endless. Just, let the game get more and more ridiculous and see how long you can survive. But even if you die at that point, it still counts as a win. As long as you live past round 20, it counts as a win with that character. And this is where the addicting unlock loop comes in, because every time you complete the game on a certain difficulty, you unlock the next difficulty, and then you unlock the next difficulty. And when you complete games with certain characters, you unlock new characters. You complete a game on this difficulty, you unlock this new character. You unlock these new modifiers. And going back to the characters, I said we'd come back to the characters. Here's the character select screen, and this is what I mean when I say different characters have different stats. That really makes things interesting when it comes to min-maxing and fine-tuning a character build. You have Well-Rounded, who starts with a little speed, HP, and harvesting boost. You have Mutant, who starts with a big XP gain boost, but also items are more expensive, so it kind of offsets. You have Golem, who was the first character I ever got a win with, who starts with a gigantic health boost and a big attack speed boost, and every time you do an HP or armor increase, he gets a bonus from it, but also he can't heal, at all, so you have to beef up that health bar because it's not coming back. But then, in addition to all of these, you have really weird ones, like Chunky. Look at how many modifiers he starts with. And Glutton, and Cyborg, whose starting modifiers are so long there's a scroll wheel. And there's some really weird ones here too. Soldier, he can only attack when he's standing still. What? Bull, who can't hold any weapons, but explodes when he takes damage and then gains the health back. That's so fucking weird, and I love it. Seriously, what other roguelike shooter has characters like this? Don't answer that. There's probably some out there that I just don't know about. I don't feel like feeling stupid right now. I really don't know how to conclude this video. I don't know if this video makes any sense. I'm really just trying to sell you on this game. And frankly, even if I haven't sold you on this game, please just go try it. This is the kind of when I talk about, I feel like I talk a lot on this channel about the creativity of indie games and the streamlining of AAA games and just the massive juxtaposition between those two marketplaces. When I talk about the creativity available to you in indie games and the kind of creativity and weird game design choices that you would never find in AAA games, Brotato is exactly what I'm talking about. This is not the kind of game that would ever exist in the AAA sphere, and it's the kind of game that absolutely deserves to succeed. And if nothing else, just remember this. You can hold up to 6 weapons at once, and there are miniguns, and giant axes, and crossbows, and there's even a character who can hold 12 weapons at once. So if nothing else, pay $5 to hold 12 miniguns at the same time as a fucking potato. This is genuinely my game of the year. This is the kind of creativity I want to see in AAA gaming. This is the kind of amazing, addicting feedback gameplay loop that is only possible in indie gaming, and god damn it, I love it. Play Brotato. God bless these devs. Toodles.